This is Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, episode number 196. Today we talk about being the responsible leader and what it means and what it doesn't mean. Keep listening. Welcome back to Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. This is the only podcast that shows you how to leverage polarity intelligence, an essential competency for healthcare leaders, and the missing logic in healthcare, so you can create healthy, healing organizations and become a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable healthcare leader.
We are your hosts, Tracy Christofferson and Michelle Trosett. We've been best friends and colleagues for over 30 years. And during that time, we coached healthcare leaders across North America around how to create healthy, healing organizations.
Today, we coach healthcare leaders and leadership teams to live thriving, resilient, and balanced lives, combat burnout, and create the best places to give and receive care.
This podcast is for the unsung hero of healthcare, the healthcare leader. We want you to know we see you and we'll be here for you each week. In this podcast, we're going to challenge healthcare's industry norms, flip limiting beliefs, and share proven strategies so you can be your best self at work and at home, live and lead intentionally, and experience well-being and joy.
We are glad you are here and look forward to sharing the journey with you. If you aren't totally convinced this podcast is for you, just listen to a few episodes and convince yourself. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. It is your co-host, Michelle, and
Tracy,
yay!
back again.
The dynamic duo. Woo!
Here we are. Oh, yeah. Happy to be here. Happy.
Yes. We are recording this remote, so we are in two different places, but together in spirit.
Oh, of course. No distance could keep us apart.
No. Oh, if people only knew, and maybe you do, if you've been hanging around us for a little while, like we are together, cameras in front of us literally almost every day, if not every day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. We do skip weekends sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we skip out on the weekends. Well, we love working with healthcare leaders, and today we are going to be talking about some just the challenges that healthcare leaders face. I don't think, Tracy, anyone could deny that the last 3 years have been full of many, many challenges for healthcare leaders. And I don't think anyone could deny that. You think?
No denying that.
No denying that.
Mm-mm.
And we know that who you are and what you do as a leader in this situation is what makes the difference in how it impacts you. We always have that choice, right? Mindful choices.
Yep.
So today we want to talk about what a responsible leader is, especially during these times.
Yeah. Well, what is a responsible leader? And really, what's the difference of being a responsible leader and being accountable, right? Sometimes people
Yeah.
use those words kind of interchangeably, but they do have a little bit of a different meaning. Now, being responsible is the obligation to cause something to happen, right? It's a duty, it's control of something. You're making something happen when you're responsible for it. I kind of like that. It's really powerful.
It is. I'm responsible.
I'm responsible. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, accountable means something different. Accountable means you're liable for or answerable to something. So it's a requirement of you. You're accountable for something. So we want to explore what being responsibility as an identity is like being responsible as an identity. And being responsible is being the creator of your life, to Tracy's point. It gives you agency, it gives you power, being responsible as that creator that you are.
Yeah. But if you're a tormented healthcare leader, like many that we speak with, right? You're a high achiever, you're purpose driven, and yet you're exhausted. You feel guilty when you're not at home or not at work, right? You feel guilty in that tension of never being in the right place. And you're enjoying your role less and less every single day.
Yes. Now, if this sounds like you, or you can relate to what Tracy was saying, then you're probably doing one or more of these things. You're saying yes 100% of the time when you are asked to take on new initiatives or additional work. Your immediate response is yes. Or you're sacrificing time with your family for work, right? So more and more time is spent on work and less time is spent in family. Or you're making yourself available 24/7, right? Are we right? Are those
Yeah.
things that are familiar to you that you've experienced?
Yeah. Yep. And what you really want though is again to make a difference because that's your driving factor, right? You're
Hmm.
there because you want to make a difference in the lives of people that are cared for and those that you serve. And you want to be a positive role model. You want to support your team. You want to grow and evolve as a leader. These are the things that you really desire most.
Yeah, yeah. And Tracy and I really understand that gap. We understand the gap that leaders are in now, that what you desire is getting further and further away from you. And that gap is getting wider and wider and wider and wider. And, you're not alone. We hear this quite a bit. So you're not alone. In fact, almost every leader is doing exactly what you're doing. And it has become the new quote unquote norm in healthcare. This is just the way that it is. And it's what other successful leaders have done that have role modeled that for you. They are the ones that never said no either. They always said yes, and they role modeled those behaviors for you. And it's what made them successful. So there's some truth to that.
Well, or they appeared to be successful,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They may have been successful and miserable all at the same time. So it's
Yes.
really the combination, right? And so we're on a mission to redefine what success can look like, right? So
Right.
it's one form of success, but it may not be the complete success that you can actually experience in both professional and personal lives. And
Mhm.
what that norm is that supports that success. So we're out to just shift how we think about success and the norms that support that. That's really our mission. And the truth is, you're responsible 100% of the time for the results that you get, right? Whether they're positive or negative. Nobody else is responsible for that. You are 100% of the time. Now, sometimes that feels kind of hefty.
It does. It does.
But it's the truth, right? It's
Yep.
the truth.
It is the truth. It is the truth. And being responsible means your outcomes are not a result of what's happening around you, outside of you, in your environment. Your outcome is a result of what's happening inside of you. So it starts inside of you, and you co create your outcomes. So again, it's
Yeah.
putting on that responsible identity again. And the outcomes you're experiencing start and stop with you. And
Yep.
everything you need to change your outcomes is inside of you. So you got to go inside to change the outside.
Yep. And that's about being
Yes.
responsible, right? That's where that
Yep.
identity and embracing that characteristic of
Yep.
responsibility comes in. And one of our coaches says accountability is the forefather of responsibility. And only when you're accountable for where you are can you be responsible. So this is an interdependent pair, responsibility and accountability, right?
Yep.
They go hand in hand. It's not either or. And to reclaim your life, you have to be a creator. You have to be responsible. You have to be accountable to what has happened and responsible for making it happen, right? As that creator. And if you're not living the life you want, be accountable for that and then be responsible to make it happen, to create different outcomes in your life. That's how you do it.
Yeah. It's
So
exciting.
easy peasy. Wow. Why is anybody having a problem with this?
I don't.
Not like we got it all figured out, folks.
No,
We're living
no.
practicing these principles all the time.
Yeah. Well, if you want a difference in the outcomes, then you have to be responsible for the actions that will get you the outcome. So it's that action oriented part that you really have to think about as well, right? And to start
Yeah.
out with, just prioritize you. You may or may not
Mhm.
realize that working nonstop putting your team and your organization's needs first on an ongoing basis will drain your reserve. You won't have anything left, and it's going to leave you unable to fully support those that you want so much to serve. It's going against exactly what you want to happen. It's working against you, right? So it's just like the safety instructions when we get on a plane and they tell you to put your own oxygen mask on first before you put it on others around you. It's because you have to prioritize yourself first so that you can be prepared and have your reserves ready mentally, physically, spiritually, so that you can help those all around you. And you're not going to be much support to them if you're totally drained, overwhelmed, tired, irritable, right? That irritable factor. And just, we all have probably experienced that feeling of just being completely drained, like there's not anything left.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that you can do is set and clearly communicate boundaries. So boundaries are for you.
Hmm.
Right? Clear,
That's
healthy
right.
boundaries are critical to you as a leader and to leadership success. And both in your personal life and your professional life, a lack of boundaries really can result in negative consequences. So, healthy boundaries are designed to enable you to protect the things and honor the things and people that matter most to you, right? It enables you to identify those non negotiables that will support you to be the best that you can be.
Yes. Yeah. Those boundaries are critical, critical.
Oh, yep.
Another thing you can do is create dynamic balance between your personal and professional life. So we know life is dynamic, right? And that your approaches of balancing your professional life and your personal life, they required us to be flexible and to be dynamic, take a dynamic approach. And creating more balance between your personal life and your professional life is possible.
Yes.
It absolutely is possible. A lot of people, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as work life balance. There's no such thing as balance, but it all begins with changing how you think about balance and shifting your beliefs about what is possible and being vigilant on the pursuit of the outcomes that you want in both aspects of your life. Another interdependent pair, your professional life and personal life, and what you want, what you want most in your life, what your why is. So we know it's not 50-50. And that's a big concept to think about. It's about a flow state. It's about making little adjustments as you go through the day, as you go through the week, as you go through the month, when you look at your balance between your professional life and your personal life. Think about nature. Nature is balanced and it's always changing and evolving. And it's very much like that when it comes to balancing our own lives and because it's dynamic and we're meant to live in harmony, we're meant to live in balance, but it's not 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you're responsible and accountable either way.
Yeah.
So, you have to think about that, right? You are responsible for what you're creating in your life and accountable for the results that you get. And, so you have to stop and think about that and what it costs you to continue on the path that you're on, and what it costs your family, your team when you're not creating, when you're not being responsible, right, for those outcomes that you're getting, for the life that you're living, or that you are designing.
Right, right. So close your eyes, but not if you're driving. And just imagine yourself 6 months from now. If you were prioritizing yourself, if you did have good professional and personal work life balance, what would it look like? What would you look like if you prioritized you, if you set boundaries for yourself, and you really created that balance that we all want so much between our professional life and our personal life? So it's good to sit back and just even think about what it looks like, what it feels like for you, right? So it reminds me, Tracy, at a time in my life when I got that lesson really hard. Like, as leaders, we all say we want work life balance. But because we do the things we talked about in the episode today, we say yes too much, we don't set boundaries, we prioritize work over family. It can work until it doesn't work, right? And so I had a major health event now years ago now, but it put me in the hospital because I was exhausted, and they actually thought I had a stroke. And I was there for several days, and it was a wake up call. It was a big wake up call for me, for my husband, for my colleagues at work, and I got very serious after that event happened on actually putting together a strategy of balancing my professional life and my personal life. Even put it on paper. What does it look like? What do we need to do? What do I need to say no to? And it really made a big difference. So I had date days with my husband. We're back on my calendar, and we still continue those to today. Up till today. Spending time with my children, saying no to so much travel. Those were all things that we put on my strategy plan. And one of them was listening to my husband. Now, a lot of people don't like to probably say that, but he was worried about me. And I just kept kind of blowing it off like, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. And we can do that too. We can fool ourselves and really we're not okay.
Mhm.
So that's a big lesson, but you can get serious. And once you get a proven strategy, you can follow it for a long time. And you're always doing just that. You're just looking at what's going on in your life that week, tweaking your plan, and moving forward and being responsible for being healthy, being responsible for being balanced. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, and for setting those boundaries, right, that keep
Yeah.
you on the path towards the things that you really want and
Yes.
not just living with what you've got left after, you give everything to everybody else, right? So
Yeah.
it's such a great example of taking responsibility for, how you got there and what it was going to look like after, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
just a great, great example of that. So.
Yeah. And
And I'm sure many of you have your own stories.
oh, yes.
And we hope that this stimulates you, right? Just to think about where are you right now, right? And how responsible are you being for the life that you're living, for the results that you're getting, for the outcomes that you have, and how you are managing this tension between that responsibility, being that creator, and accountable, right, for the outcomes that are actually occurring. And, we just love sharing these things with you. We do this just to stimulate your own thinking, your own growth, your own reflection, not to dictate what you need to do or who you need to be or how you need to be responsible, but to share what we're learning about this,
Right.
right? Because I think it's just helpful to know that these things are out there for you to, explore yourself. So we hope that this has done that for you. And it's always a pleasure to be with you here on Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast. And, if it touched you or it resonated with you, drop us a line either on YouTube in the comments or on any of the social media platforms, or just let us know. Hey, I listened to your podcast on being responsible and it really struck something in me. Just let us know
Yes.
that
We'd
it's
love to
impacted
hear
you.
from you.
Love to hear from you. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. We'll see you then.
Bye bye.
Hi, it's Tracy, and we're hearing from healthcare leaders all across the US how exhausted they are, how they are struggling with work life balance, and how guilty they feel most of the time. If you're like these leaders, you're wondering whether you have the stamina to continue in your role because this new normal, with increasing expectations, staff demands, and competing priorities, is depleting your energy and leaving you questioning your purpose and your future. We want you to know we hear you and we see you. And this is why we're inviting you to register for the How to Reclaim Your Life in 5 Steps webinar. These 5 steps will move you from where you are today to becoming a thriving, resilient, and unstoppable or true healthcare leader. So you can create balance between your professional and personal life, grow and evolve as a leader, and live the life you truly desire, not the one that's left over after you've given all your time and energy to everybody else. So go over to missinglogic.com/new-events to learn more and register now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Healthcare's Missing Logic podcast, now a top rated podcast for healthcare leaders. Please share this podcast with other healthcare leaders and anyone else you think would benefit. We are certain that if you found value in it, they will too. If you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes. And also, it would mean the world to us if you took a quick moment to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast player. It helps to get the word out about our podcast and incredible guests. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to watch our podcasts. You can also follow us on our Missing Logic social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time.